Hi, I'm April Fearon, and I am a pastor at the Lambs Fellowship in Lake Elsinore. I get to be one of our service hosts. I get to help with prayer on Sunday mornings and ushering the people into worship. And then I also get to lead our women's Bible study, which is a huge blessing. I'm also in this interesting position where, as much as I do at the church, I also work for Empowering Lives International, one of our partner ministries, and it is a huge blessing. I'm one of our relationship builders there. I get to work with our ministry partners, sharing with them the incredible impact that they're helping make possible in East Africa through ELI. I'm one of those many people who doesn't really remember a time before I knew God. I grew up, I think officially my parents say at 3 years old, I prayed the prayer. It's my first memory with my mom in our big overstuffed brown cushy rocking chair. But then since then, I grew up and God was always kind of in the background and very involved in church and all of that. But my senior year actually at Azusa Pacific was where I really kind of wrestled with my faith for the first time and wasn't sure if God was real, what he was doing, how he was a part of my life. I very quickly, after just a couple of days, came back to believing he was real, but it took a lot longer to go back to really believing that he actually loved me and cared about me and didn't just kind of love people, but wanted to be involved in my life. So that was a lot more of a difficult journey, and probably really for the first time came to that real in-depth understanding of, oh, God loves me. If I never change, if nothing ever gets better, if nothing ever changes about my life, he wants to have me. He wants me as his daughter. He wants me as his child. He cares about me. Honestly, I feel like my most current calling is to my children, is to my, I have a congregation of 2.5, almost 3, and we're just making little disciples day in and day out. If the Great Commission really says, as you go, make disciples, it's like, well, where do I go every day? I go around my house. I hang out with my kids. So I feel like that's a lot of it. I mean, I'm blessed in working with ELI and with Lambs. Both are all about put your family first, focus on that. With ELI, I mostly get to work from home, so I'm working, during nap time and babysitting, but it's definitely a season of making disciples day in and day out. Like this morning when my daughter wanted to help peanut butter her pancake, my 4-year-old, and I'm like, oh, this is making disciples. I'm teaching her how to spread the peanut butter. I'm teaching her that I can be patient with her when she does this. I can help her, chop up her pancake to bite-sized strips. So for me, God didn't call me to be a pastor. God called me out of Ephesians 4 of, he gave some to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, right? All these different categories. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to help people discover which of these things they're called to be. And it wasn't until later, that actually happened when I was in Kenya with a different ministry, not ELI. It wasn't until I got back that my sister-in-law, who's now the lead pastor at the Free Methodist Church in Santa Barbara, and then my pastor at the time, George King, if you ever knew him, he was at the Escondido Church for a long time. They were both like, that's the calling of a pastor. I grew up visiting my brother and sister-in-law occasionally in Santa Barbara, and they attended the Santa Barbara Free Methodist Church. So I just got to kind of see it here and there, but that wasn't more than, a couple times a year. Then I thought I picked Azusa Pacific as my college of choice. Now looking back, I realized the Lord probably had a large hand in that. So when I graduated from APU, I moved down to the San Diego area, and I was just wrestling with maybe potentially being called to ministry, not even necessarily feeling a call yet, but I knew that I wanted to be in a church setting where it would be okay for a woman to have that as a possibility. And so I found the Escondido Free Methodist Church, which is now the Foundry, and started attending there and through the process of a couple years, the pastoral staff there helped me to begin discerning my calling to ministry, what God had for me. And I remember in that process at some point reading the book of Discipline and literally feeling like I was home, feeling like of all of the random beliefs I had that I cared about this, but I don't really know about end times or whatever, all of those were compiled in this one book. It was the strangest experience and the most, welcoming, inviting experience to go, oh, it's okay for me to focus on these things and not know about these other things, and just to have that kind of openness. And so that was a huge part of me coming to the Free Methodist Church, deciding that this was where I wanted to be a part. I became a CMC a few years later, went to Asbury for seminary out in Kentucky, and then through that process just continued to, explore more. And the more I learned about Wesleyan theology, the more I've loved it. And this particular journey has been a long one for me, but God has been really gracious and finally kind of made it clear that now was the time for me to continue and become an elder. And the Lord definitely continues to draw me to the Free Methodist Church, to his heart through this people that love the Spirit, being free in worship, all people getting to worship together, men and women being called, all of these things that are freedoms that are so key to who we are, but are so key to God's heart. And so I'm grateful to get to be a part.